Can religion be used as an occult attack? Has religion actually been an attack of an occult order or, well, an occult movement against people, against its own people? So, in order to answer such a question, well, this question goes quite broad, honestly, but it has to be presented in a short, concise answer. So, first and foremost, when people ask you heavy things, ask them first what is it that they understand through the concepts that they spoke. Because if you say occultism, maybe different people will understand different things. If I am to give a definition of occultism and what it does in the broadest level possible, it is just the manipulation of energy, but not just energy. Occultism means you're making use of energy for different kind of purposes. You can do it for better or for worse. Yes? Like anything, it can be used to enhance, especially oneself, or to simply act as a tool to distract or destroy others. Yes, it can be equally used as this. A lot of people make use of silly concepts like dark energy, dark this, light energy. See, energy is not something that is light or dark. It doesn't have necessarily such conceptual necessities, let's put it so. Energy is something that either is compatible with you or it is not. And based on that, you will perceive it as likable or not likable, because if it causes you pain, obviously you're not gonna like it. So, information is what counts most, because all energy is nothing else but a set of information. Or you can look at it as the code that is needed for that energy to function. Yes, there is a certain thing. I was very young when I used to code it, the fundamental laws of the universe's existence. That was the first meaning that I could give it. And it is like the code behind a certain program's running. Because you have to understand this whole cosmos is nothing else but that. Yes? It is nothing else but a huge amount of code or information, whatever you want to call it, that runs beyond the level of this universe's physicality. And the way energy shapes itself and arranges itself and becomes more solid to make a foundation into, or to become matter on its own. Yes, that is a huge amount of information that functions. And that information, it has its own purposes. Those purposes can be dealt with. They can be enhanced, or they can be, they can be reduced, minified, or, well, changed entirely. Yes? That's why some people, you've heard probably a lot of cases of people who simply shapeshift. Yes, they turn into other animals and the such. Such things are capable in occultism, but occultism is something that is very broad. Not everyone will want to do the such. Because things like telekinesis, teleportation, and the such, they are interesting powers to deal with, but they are just traps of the mind, because they don't give you any spiritual upgrades. They're not making you more spiritual, more understanding of the cosmos. Yes? You can do teleportation without necessarily knowing what energy entirely functions as. Yes, the study of the multiple dimensions of this cosmos is more is more, well, let's say, is the field of study of what we call spirituality. Because spirituality, one can define it as what is going beyond the idea of regular energy. Yes? So while religion is nothing else but a set of beliefs that presents you creation as a certain form, in a certain way, with certain rules to follow and rituals to undergo, the point of a religion is basically just that. It is a set of beliefs. A belief means accepting something without a necessity for proof, and no, don't start arguing on me that a book will always be the best set of proof, because a book is written by someone you don't most likely know. You've never met, and obviously you don't know how much truth there still is in that book. Yes? The point about a belief means you accept something without a necessity for proof. Just like you can accept a scribbling in a book, whether it is a fantasy book, a philosophical one, maybe even a religious one. The point is, so can you accept information from an occult source. An occult source means something some energy has been contaminated with a certain intent, because intent is also another energy. Yes, it is actually a kind of information that you introduce in a certain kind of energy and you give it to someone, like a Trojan horse. Yes, that other person has to accept it if you want to harm them. Usually that's how many witches attack you. They give you certain objects, they smile to you, you take them and you invite that information in your house. Yes? By being in touch with that information, you're downloading it into your body. And the reason why you actually start functioning differently, why you may start feeling diseases, is because now the energy that you accepted, or better said, that information, is now part of your system. Just like a virus becomes part of the system that it infects in a computer or on a console or a mobile phone. They are not necessarily part of the computer's operating system, but they are causing troubles there. But machines are a far simpler design, yet I have to make use of them to portray a certain example of how energy functions. Your system is far more complex than any machine we humans have created. So, see, most likely you've had those people, those friends that are in a certain way. Yes, they have a certain behavior, you like them, or maybe they're meh, whatever, and they end up in a relationship with someone. Yes, and you can feel that it's not going to be a good relationship. Yes, maybe it's not going to be toxic or abusive or things like that, but you notice after a certain time your friend simply becomes someone else. Maybe they become quite the opposite, actually. Yes, why this happens is because the information in your physical body is of a multiple layers. Yes, it is of an unconceivable amount of layers that go even to the furthest of your generations that have been before you. Yes, everything that your forefathers have experienced is within you at a certain unconscious level, and some of those may be powerful enough if they're painful or certain things were damaging enough. Yes, they can actually still have an impact on this life that you're living. Yes, maybe that's why you're having certain random dreams or certain random sensations, but don't rush into taking those as influences from a previous lifetime. So, religion can actually, and not necessarily religion, but people who make use of energy can actually impact you, you specifically in this lifetime, either because they have impacted the piece of life that you are, not a multitude of lifetimes ago. Yes, a numerous amount of lifetimes ago, and that influence still preserved throughout your other lifetimes till your current one, or they can influence you through occult means by causing something traumatic in each and every generation. Like we can see, it usually happens in six societies. Each and every generation is damaged by some big level event or set of events that keep them in a certain low vibration. Those fears, those misaccomplishments, those bits of hatred and separation, yes, they go on from generation to generation. Yes, you may be in the fifth generation of peace in your own society, but you may still feel those pains of the others. And everything is interconnected in terms of consciousness. So it's enough that a few countries in the world suffer a lot, and everyone in the world will feel the depression. Everyone in the world will feel the pain. This is how powerful information can be. This is how powerful energy can be. Of course, a lot of people don't believe things like this. I'm not urging anyone to believe what I say. But think about your physical body. Yes? If you say you are fully aware and controlling of your life, if you say that you can control everything, the only reason why you say that is because there is nobody to simply prove you wrong. First and foremost, if you have just one tooth that hurts you, yes, you're no longer in control of anything. You're just gonna feel like banging your head against the walls. Yes, because just that little pain can control your whole fucking life. And you're thinking you are experiencing life through this physical body, but somehow you are the ruler, the master of this life that you have. You don't know that because you cannot control the energies because you were never taught how to. Yes. Your life is just a set of energies that you have each and every day, and you should handle those the best way you can. Your emotions, your mental energies, your, well, bodily energies, and whatever else. Nobody teaches you how to take care of those. This is another kind of occult assault, being kept in ignorance. When you look at all the Abrahamic religions, obviously they have been doing the same thing, keeping the masses in ignorance because despite the beautiful scribblings in those books, which were usually or mostly done just to keep people into a certain kind of comfortable bondage, the point is very simple. Ignorant people will always seek to reach the highest places in any possible group. So sooner or later in a sex society, everything becomes a business and you become the product. Yes? It doesn't matter what kind of religion you have. And when you live around a certain person for a specific amount of time, just by touching that person, there is a huge amount of energy transfer in between you and them. That energy is specific kinds of information. You cannot predict what kind of energy or information you will take from other people. But if you take that energy enough number of times, it will start functioning within you as if it has always functioned. That is why when you look at certain stupid people, they get into a relationship with someone of their own level usually, and or higher level because their only purpose is to draw others at their own level. And once your wise friend or something like that becomes nothing else but a legume, yes, because they have spent so much time around someone who's primitive minded and stupid and ignorant and such, and all that information that kept that person at that current level of awareness has infected them enough that it influences them. It functions as if they've also always been like that. And if they are primitive minded as well, or they become so, their awareness becomes much, much, much lower. They will probably tell you something like, I've always been like that. You just did not know. Yes? Things like this can happen. Most likely, some people will agree. So, yes, religion can be used. Everything that is an energy form can be used as an occult attack against you. Yes. Now, this means that we're talking probably either about an individual or an organization, a set of people that actually do that. If you look even on the internet, there are numerous accounts of ex witches that present their viewpoints about occultism having been used against Christians. Because there are groups of witches and dark practitioners. Well, people call them Satanists, but they're not necessarily Satanists. They are just anti Christians. Because Zionism employs such people to create misery in other people's lives. Yes? You can actually make use of energies. You can actually teleport or, let's say, project mentally into their homes. And you can actually see how they're sleeping, what they're sleeping. You can actually sow dissent in their minds. You can sow confusion. You can give them certain dreams that will dissuade them from following certain paths. Yes? These are cases that are happening against Christians because Zionism is proliferating in Europe and America, which are mainly Christian environments. Yes? So the point is, with all these being said, yes, everything can be used as an occult weapon against you. It all just matters how willing you are to embrace things like this. Because if you're not willing to embrace things like this, it doesn't mean anything in the end. Because something will influence you whether you accept it or not. If you drink poison accidentally or willingly, it will do the same equal effect. Yes, it will not have a different effect in either of the situations. Yes, and in the end, occultism can be used as somehow of a self-enhancer, or it can be used as a huge array of options that one may have against others. Yes, to make use of energy against others. Even lying, cheating, and deceiving, they are somewhat of an occult level. Yes, but they are very simple. They are very feeble energies because, in the end, what does a lie mean? You infiltrate a certain thought in someone's mind and you convince them that that thought is true. Yes? What is this in the end other than energy manipulation? Yes, some people piss their eyes. Some people have a whole set, a whole assortment of answers that they have practiced and over practiced. Yes? Why? So that they convince you of something. What does convincing mean? They have planted a thought in your mind, a belief system, a belief idea, and you're simply agreeing to it. You're accepting a certain belief without a necessity for proof. Yes? If your bestie tells you something, you're very inclined to believing them, even if the information may be wrong. Maybe they wanted to lie you just so that they test you. Maybe they did not know that the information is false and they sent it to you as well. Right? There are multiple situations here. But with everything, obviously, how things in life goes, everything can be used against you. Yes? You are a huge amount of information, and the very information within your physical body can be made use of against you. An occult attack obviously needs a bit of your information. It needs to see what the geometry of your body is, how it exists, and through that geometry, it can easily find vulnerabilities so that it knows where exactly to attack. Or, well, sometimes an attack can be a devastating one to simply, usually, they attack your mind to simply end you up in a psychiatry ward, incapable of thinking and living for your own, or they may attack your heart just so that they kill you, or they just cause troubles from afar. Yes, they infuse you with confusion, or they send someone that accidentally meets you and they give you a nice little surprise, which is probably a cursed object. And just by having touched that object, you have introduced their energy in your own body. Throwing that object away won't change any fucking thing as long as you still have that energy trapped into your body. And many people, unfortunately, cannot perceive this. An occult attack doesn't necessarily have to be done by an occultist, an occult master. Yes, there can be people who suffer enough that when they think of something against you, their mind is so focused, so razor sharply focused on inflicting pain on others that they literally send the exact amount of energy they need to impose some damage within your system, even if it ends up as a much more feeble uh, attack or influence compared to an occult master. Yes, an occult master can also be powerful enough to pull you out of your own physical body, for example. But well, these are things somewhat at the edge of my comprehension of occultism, so I'm not going to bother too much with those. But to anyone who asked whether religion or any other thing can be used as an occult attack against you, just remember that lies, cheating, and deceit are the very most minimalistic aspects or possibilities of occultism. Occultism is a far more broader option, which requires mastery over energy, over actually the information that energy is represented by. Because once you know what information you're dealing with, then you can actually change it, much like a new developer changes old codes and adjusts it to do something new. Yes, without necessarily crashing the system, but you can do way more damage by simply adjusting something to a new function. Just like social media and this sick society that we live in, it's not interested in actually killing people like things like this would happen with the Black Plagues and other man-made events. Yes, that would kill huge numbers of people, like orchestrations of wars, famines, diseases, and the such. Yes, because in the end it is far more profitable if you turn people into drones that support your own agenda instead, and you pit them one against the other. That way, when people are focused only on themselves, you as an occult master can easily stay away, hidden, and still continue your own agendas. Yes? When we speak about occultism and attacks, the first levels are those of cheats, of deceit, of misery, of lying, that many people do. Because you have to understand, occultism is all about energy influence, manipulating energy. And you manipulate energy each and every fucking day. Because your body eats, that is energy, that is information. It is a certain occult level, yes, but you're not aware of that because you are not presented that as such. Yes, you can take it as a bit of an occult aspect. Yes, and because occultism is energy manipulation. Yes, you can look at it like that. It's not occultism as humans call it. Yes, but hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. I don't want to lengthen it too much more. Take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.